برای خارق‌العاده زندگی کردن فرصت اندک است. زندگی را زندگی کنید. سمینار از زندمانی تا زندگانی توسط خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان. لس آنجلس 29 اکتبر، تورنتو 18 سپتامبر، ونکوور 30 سپتامبر، لندن 7 اکتبر، روتردام 9 اکتبر و کلن 17 اکتبر. 310 460 2600 embracegrowth.com.
Good evening. My name is Gregory Morgan and welcome to Love Talk. If you are joining me for the very first time, I'm happy to be in your house and in your television set. This is a show that is designed to talk about love, what works in relationships between men and women, but also between co-workers and parents and children, and any kind of relationship in your life where you may find yourself hindered or held back by beliefs and values, differences of opinion, customs and traditions. These are the kind of things that stop people in their relationships, and this show's all about sorting some of that out, okay? And so I'll be presenting to you some of my ideas, and I would love to hear from you and to hear your questions. Any questions that you have about, what works and what doesn't work, if you find yourself stopped or stuck someplace. You and I, human beings, are holistic beings. We are mental. We have a certain mental activity, but we are not mental. We have mental capacities. We are emotional, and we are not our emotions, yet we have emotions that move us, touch us, inspire us, or hurt us. We have the physical, but we are not our bodies. We have a physical body, and we are spiritual. And it may be closer to the truth to say that we are spiritual, but that's not all we are, is it? We're a spiritual being having a physical, emotional, and mental experience. And so when one treats any of those areas, it affects all of those areas. And because we're able to do that very quickly now, we find that it is actually, for myself, I find that it is the most effective therapy that I've ever run into. And I have, through my own journey in life, explored many types of therapy, psychology, ontology, and all of the isms, Buddhism, Taoism, many spiritual technologies from the Far East, as well as studied several of the religions. But I wouldn't say that this is a religious practice by any means. It's more of a expression of who you truly are. And when you get to who you truly are, really, really, really who you are, then there is a spiritual, energetic experience of compassion and forgiveness and a feeling of being at one with yourself. And you can call that whatever you want. You can call it just simply coming into balance with oneself, but I find no harm in saying that it is a spiritual experience as well as a psychological, emotional, and physical experience as well. So that's a little bit about me and what I'm doing in my private practice. And then further beyond that, my wife and I, Dr. Azita Sayan, together we do seminars and workshops. She's on her way back from doing the women-only workshop in Kensington in London. And as a matter of fact, I know that there are a lot of viewers who watch this show from England and Europe. And if you're one of those women who were in that workshop this weekend, call me up on the show and let me know how it was. I'd love to hear from you. My biggest pleasure in working with my wife in the women's workshops is seeing the people that go into the workshop, working with them, seeing them actually have breakthroughs in their lives. The face changes, the posture changes, their attitude towards life changes, how they speak, how they carry themselves, who they see themselves as being in the world is completely altered, just completely changed and altered. There's a transformation, not just a change. A change could come back to the way it used to be. A change is often cyclical, meaning it goes in a cycle like the seasons. And so sometimes we find ourselves coming back to how we used to be. That's a cyclical change, meaning a cycle. But transformation is a change of state. It is a state change, and it happens like that. It may take you 40 years to get there. It may take you 20 years to get there, but when it happens in an instant. And you suddenly see something differently in a way that you had never seen it before. And you can never deny having seen that. You can never go back to that old way of being. You can never go back to those old habits, ways of being, without at least knowing you're selling yourself out. You're giving it something up for an old way of being that's easy and comfortable and staying inside your comfort zone. And that kind of living always has an extreme cost. That kind of living inside one's comfort zone, will always have a cost in terms of one's health. You'll actually have less energy, and you may even experience tiredness and depression or illness. It'll have an effect on your attitude towards life, your emotional states. You won't exactly have a highly developed, excited and turned on outlook towards life. So it'll affect your level of aliveness, what I would call aliveness. It also affects your mental state, because isn't it true that something that is repetitive over and over, that's problematic, that keeps coming up, but then you push it aside, and keeps coming up and you push it aside, and you stay in your comfort zone, you learn to live with the problems rather than overcome them, rather than transcend them, rather than challenge them and grow outside of the problems. There's a tendency when one lives in one's comfort zone to sort of, gloss over it or paint over it or install something new there so that you sort of ignore the fact that you have this issue. So in the workshops that we do, we challenge people to move beyond their comfort zone. If you want to go have a nice, easy, laid back, warm and fuzzy experience, if you want to have a, happy-go-lucky, easy little workshop to do in which you learn a few things and take a lot of notes and go home and tell everybody all the stuff that you learned, this is not for you. This is not the kind of workshops we do. The kind of workshops we do challenge you. They cause you to have to really look at yourself and your life and how you got the issues that you got, but also what's great about you, the things that you haven't explored, the things you've never even looked into or suspected that you could do. We also challenge you to really start to look at those dreams that you've laid aside, those dreams that you thought, no, that's never going to happen, it's too late, that's not going to happen for me, and begin to see that it's never too late, and that those dreams could be alive today, and that you could actually start right now to live the life that you've always wanted to live. And so those are the kind of workshops we do. So for those of you who have ever done the women-only workshop that are watching, I'm sure that some of you have gone ahead and signed up for the advanced women-only workshop. It's not even just like a little bit better, it's like a whole nother level. It's not like, oh, we'll just do, the women-only workshop a little better or a little more. It starts at a whole nother advanced level of life, and it assumes that you learned all of the lessons of the women-only workshop and that you're ready to step into something very powerful for your life and in your relationship, so that I get to join in at that part. And the things that I have to teach women, the advanced women-only workshop, they're just not ready to hear that yet. They're not ready to experience that yet. And later in the advanced women-only workshop, I share something with the women over the course of the workshop that changes who you are, changes who you see yourself as being in the world for the rest of your life. It's a beautiful gift, and it's an honor to be able to participate in that. We do the seminars and workshops. I do a workshop for men, I think I'll tell you about that, called HIM, H-I-M, and it stands for Honor, Integrity, and Mastery. The men that attend my workshop starts at the level that the advanced women-only workshop starts at. I just start the men right off at high speed, because they like to go fast, and men don't. I don't believe that men, I don't know very many men that actually like to sign up and go to workshops, so they don't want to sit around and listen and talk that much. They want to get right into action, like, what is there to learn here? Let's get this done. What do you got? And so with the men, I start them right off at an advanced level, and so they're kind of running instead of trying to catch up with the train, to use a metaphor. Instead of running to catch up with the train, they're running to stay ahead of the train so they don't get run over. And so I keep pushing them along until they have a breakthrough in who they are as a men. who they are as husbands and fathers and friends, who they are in the world as men, and they get reunited with their personal power, and they confront and deal with whatever has been stopping or blocking them from having access to that power. And with that power that they find in their personal lives as men, begin to create a life in which they become the man that they've always wanted to be, the man they always knew they could be, and the man that women love to be around, and that mothers want their daughters to marry, and sons want to be like their dads. They become the kind of man that you and I admire, that you and I respect, and that you and I have read about in the history books. Those are the kind of men that we want to have coming out of the Honor, Integrity, and Mastery Workshop. And every man I've ever met has this warrior in his heart. And I'm not talking about a fighter, I'm talking about a warrior. He has a sage, a wise man, and he has a little kid that loves to play, and a jokester. And he has all these various personalities that are combined inside of his heart as a man, and most of them do not have a full environment where they can be fully self-expressed. Most men are constrained and held back in some way in their life that keeps them from being the man they've always wanted to be. And therefore, our sons and our daughters and our wives don't get to have the full self-expression of the honor that it is to be a man, and the integrity that it takes to be a man, and the courage that it takes, especially in this world today. In the world today, the environment that we're living in does not call for men to be true men. In fact, it calls for men to be more and more feminized, more and more, most of the problems that occur between men and women, when I have the wife complaining about the husband or the girlfriend complaining about the boyfriend, a lot of it, I'm not saying all of it, but a lot of it has to do with, if you reduce it down to its actual essence, she's upset that he's not a better girlfriend. Mostly, women are upset that men are not very good women. They don't act like women, they don't think like women, they don't behave like women, they behave like men, and what's worse is a lot of times the men today are behaving like bad women and unruly men. Somewhere caught between woman and man is this boyishness that never grows up and that never takes full responsibility for being a husband, a father, a leader, not just a leader at work, but I'm talking about being a spiritual leader in your own home. Actually bringing spirit, bringing love, bringing trust into the home from the masculine viewpoint. And for the most part, men are abdicating or giving away those responsibilities to the woman, and then asking her to provide that, and he's busy making a living, mostly going out, building his career, making a living, trying to provide for his family. And so in the Honor, Integrity, and Mastery Workshop, just like in the Women's Only Workshop, we work to have people live a balanced life, to come into harmony with themselves, to find out what they're truly here about. What are you truly here about? What's your life for? If everything was handled, money, health, all of that, what would your life be for? This is a good question for everyone to ask themselves. And it's not a question that you necessarily will ever find the whole answer to. It's an inquiry into one's life. If my money was handled, if health was assured, if my success in whatever undertaking that I take on was assured, if I knew that no matter what I chose, I'm going to make it, what would you do? What would your life be about? What would you devote however many years you have left on this planet, what would you devote it to, really? If your kids were grown up and they had their lives were all handled and they were successful at whatever they were doing, what would your life really be about? And I really urge you to look into that inquiry with all of your heart every day. Really, what is my life about? What's it about today? What's it about today? What's it about 5 years from now? What is my life about 10 years from now? I'm turning 60 this year, and I think I'm doing I feel all right, I'm healthy, I'm in great shape, but the question is still there, I think I'll probably live another 40 or 50 years. I don't see any problem with that medically. There's just virtually no reason medically why I shouldn't. As long as I continue to live a healthy life and meditate and exercise and eat good food, there's no reason, other than an accident or something else happening, why this body shouldn't last me another 40, 50 years. So what will my life be about? What am I going to use that 40 or 50 years for? Listen, I'm not the only one in this position. Today, people watching this show, it is highly likely that you will live to be at least 90, if not 100 years old. You know, back in our parents' day, or our grandparents' day, 45 or 50 was old. You know, now it's young. You know, 50 years old is like being 30 by today's standards. And especially the women, have you seen them? They look great. 50-year-old women are looking really good to me. So I don't want to talk you to death about all that, but really, what is your life about, and what will you give it for? You know, at the end of your life, what is the thing that you would like to leave for future generations? What would you like to have your grandkids say about grandpa or grandma? You know, grandpa or grandma, they were this kind of person, and this is what they taught me, and this is what I learned, and this is the tradition that they left behind, or the legacy that they left behind. What would you have your children's children live into and become because you were here, because you made a difference for future generations? And if you want to find out more about Embrace Growth and like what we do, our seminars, workshops, we also have books and CDs and DVDs all about having you be empowered in your life to have the relationships and the life that you love, that you're happy to have, that you wake up in the morning excited and turned on about your life. If that sounds impossible, I'm here to tell you that it is not, that we routinely, like every day, get up and go to work and help people to achieve that in their personal lives. So we wouldn't be in business very long if we weren't able to deliver on that promise. And what I'm able to promise is that if you attend one of our workshops, our books, CDs, or DVDs, or in any way participate in the work that we do, the quality of your life is going to improve. It's not some magical formula. It's not something that we do it to you. This is not a, oh, do it to me process. I'll just sit here and passively be healed by you. That is not the case. That's not how it works. In fact, all healing is self-healing. All forgiveness is self-forgiveness. And all transformation is self-transformation. As a matter of fact, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So we don't actually do it to you, we do it with you, and you do the work, and we facilitate you in having a breakthrough in whatever it is you're up to in life. Let's go ahead and take some calls. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air with Love Talk.
Hi, I just wanted to say it's really a pleasure talking to you, and I'm so excited that you guys finally hold on to your decision and to your promise, and you're coming to New York. I can't really wait.
Oh, great. You're calling from New York?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's excellent.
Definitely going to be there. I'm so happy that you guys are coming. Can't wait, really.
Okay, good. I'm looking forward to it, too.
Yeah. Thank you. And my problem actually today is, I actually have two issues that I want to share with you.
Okay.
Actually, my boyfriend and I, we've been together for about 1.5 years now, and we decided that we want to go ahead and take the next step and get married, hopefully in the near future.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And, we both listened to the 12 stages of romantic relationship. To your city, we are big fans.
Good job.
We are actually in the negotiating stage right now, and a lot of times I actually feel that we're both a little aggravated, or better say, maybe sensitive to whatever we say, or, some decisions that we probably have to make.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, I find myself really caught up in the moment, and I really don't want to continue talking, and I feel like, maybe this isn't the right decision, and maybe we're not really good for each other, and I'm sure he feels the same way sometimes.
Yep.
I just sometimes don't know how to handle that,
Well, if it's my intention at some point to do the 12 stages of romantic relationship, which for just people who are listening that don't know what that is, there's a CD set that I have that's called the 12 stages of romantic relationship, in which I actually lay out 12 distinct stages that relationships naturally move through, from hello, how are you, I'd like to take you out, living a lifelong relationship in which you're totally fulfilled. So the 12 stages of romantic relationship is what she's talking about, and one of those stages is the stage of negotiation, which comes well before marriage. And it's a stage that a lot of people skip, right? And when they do, they end up having to go back all the way to dating, usually. If you skip negotiating, chances are you might get married and divorced. So you want to really not skip the negotiating stage. And what I was saying was that in my intention is to do the 12 stages of romantic relationship actually as a 12-part seminar, so that we can actually go through each and every stage and give you some training. And one of the trainings that I would give you is negotiating. And if you've ever been in business management or you've owned a business, then you've had to negotiate something sometime, yes?
Yes.
But a lot of people go into marriage and they don't think of that kind of negotiation in the same way. They go, well, that's business, but this is love, right?
Right.
And so that's where they get in trouble, because really marriage is a business deal. Yes, there's love, there's hurt feelings, and there's all that stuff, but in the at the negotiating stage, you need to approach it with a cool, calm, collected frame of mind. In a way, you're right. If you said something like, oh, I just want to get out of the take a break or step away from the negotiating table for a moment, yes? And that's what I would advise any business manager, right, or any business owner. Sometimes when you're in the negotiations, things heat up, right?
Right.
And it's always good to say, let's just take a little pause here. Let's go get a drink of water or something, have a cup of coffee, and come back to this. What do you say? Maybe let's just go refresh our thinking in a little bit. And sometimes you just have to hit the reset button, right, and cool down.
Right.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah, it is. One of the things that I feel is often missing in the negotiating stage is something that I'm going to call values synchronization. Okay, and I know that sounds like a very technical way of approaching it, but very simply it is this. You have certain values that you've inherited from your culture, your religion, your family, whatever environment you grew up in, your education. Most of your values you have absorbed from the outside. I'm making a bet on this, okay? If I'm wrong, you can say so. And maybe there might be a few of those values that you've actually thought about and considered and said that have come from your own thinking and your own spiritual and emotional and mental research, where you've come to the conclusion that, this is something that I really value. But on closer examination, most people, when I work with them, I find that most of their values have been conditioned values.
Yes.
Okay, and then the same is true for him. He has certain conditioned values that he's absorbed through his upbringing. The short version is through his environment as he was being brought up. So he's absorbed certain values, and you've absorbed certain values, and then some of those are negotiable, and some of them are not. Okay, and so what's important in negotiation is to go into the negotiation, each party, knowing what your deal breakers are from the start, okay? It might be, if you become a drug addict, I'm out of here. If you cheat on me, I'm gone. That'll be the end of the relationship. I will file for a divorce and I'll take half of all your money, okay? It might be, so there's certain things that may be deal breakers, and you need to be able to say them clearly and concisely right up front. Everything else, if it's not a deal breaker, that means it's negotiable, right?
Yes.
You could cut a deal. You can make some kind of a deal, and making deals is an art. It really is an art, and it's unfortunate that so many of us go into something as life-altering as a marriage that involves banking, real estate, your family, his family, kids that aren't even born yet, and their families.
Right.
What you're about to do will affect future generations even after you're gone. So it would be important to know what are the deal breakers before you step into that, right?
Yeah.
If you were buying a house, you would know exactly what you want and don't want, right? If it doesn't have a garage, I don't want it, right? Or whatever, right? If the roof is leaking and the plumbing's rotting and falling out, I don't want it. You know,
Right.
next house, right? So you kind of know what your deal breakers are going into to something as simple as buying a house or a car, but buying, because you really are buying a husband or a wife, you're giving up something, yes?
Yes.
And the cost is big, what you're giving up. You're going to give up something big to get something even better, hopefully, right?
Yes.
That's your intent, is to get something even better for this deal that you're making. So that's why it's important to treat it like a business deal, and in other words, to have your cool, calm, collected thoughts and to try to keep the emotional stuff out of it as best possible. Yes?
True, yes.
Yeah, so in negotiating with your future husband, I advise you, know what it is that you will stand for and what you will not stand for before you come to the table. And then be willing to be what I would call enrolled. And you know what I mean by enrolled?
I know the meaning, but I'm not quite sure.
All
what
right.
it's...
Well, I'm going to make the distinction because we're in the seminar business, right? My wife and I, we have a business called Embrace Growth, and we enroll people in our seminars, right?
Right.
So very often we find that people are enrolled, but they're not registered until they sign the form and give us their credit card, and we give them a welcome letter, and they're for sure coming. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's a distinction between enrolled, yeah, I'm going to do it, and no kidding, I'm going to do it, here's my money, right?
Right.
I'll be there. What time is it, right? That's different. Right now, you're enrolled in this marriage, yes?
Yes.
The idea is, it sounds like a good idea. You're not registered yet.
Right.
You're registered when the official says, I now pronounce you man and wife, and the government stamps something on that paper. Then you're actually registered in the marriage. It's a status change in every sense of the word, especially for you, especially for females, because women tend to think of themselves as being married or unmarried, right?
Yes.
When we think of women, is she married, is she unmarried, right? Men don't think of themselves that way. I'm just a guy, and I'm married or not married, but that's incidental to us. It's different. It's only important when something inappropriate comes up and they go, no, I'm married, right?
Right.
But other than that, we're just a guy, and we don't think of ourselves as married or unmarried that much. It's not a big issue in our head until it's time to do it or undo it. You're enrolled but not registered, and so back to your conversation where I was saying all of the other stuff that is not deal breakers, I suggest that you be what I would call enrollable. Now, if I said, for example, listen, I'm going to go to Siberia, and it's going to be really, really cold over there, and we'll probably die, and there won't be any food, and it's going to be really hard getting there. You might say, no thanks. I'm not enrollable in that, right? That's just not something ever going to do, you know? I'm not interested.
Yes, yes.
Unenrollable. But if I said, hey, we're going to go to Mexico, and we're going to stay at this really cool place on the beach, and we're going to drink and dance and have a lot of fun and go swimming every day. You want to come? You might go, I'm willing to work out the details and at least check it out, right?
Right.
I'll see if it fits in my schedule, how much it costs. In other words, you're enrollable.
Right.
I could maybe talk you into it, and you're willing to work out a few details to make sure that it works for everyone, and that that you get to Mexico and have a good time. Right? You'd be enrollable in something like that, using that metaphor. So in your marriage, it's important to remain enrollable. Your boyfriend or husband will propose some things that may not seem like such a good idea to you, or you might be going, no, I've never done that before, or I don't feel like it, but you should be enrollable, like, okay, I'm willing to consider it, because consider the consequences, not the consequences, but consider the alternatives. If the alternative is, no, I'm not going to marry you, and we're not going to have this future together, and we're not going to do this thing, then that's a deal breaker. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
And if there's more than 3 or 4 deal breakers in your marriage, you're in trouble. I promise you. It's okay to have deal breakers. I think everybody should. They should know what they are, but they shouldn't be like a whole big long list of them, because you'll never make it. Nobody can live up to all that.
Right. I think we're pretty good with that. It's just, like I feel sometimes they're minor things, but sometimes for him it's not. And the last thing that he told me that really bothered me was like, I feel that I'm losing control and I don't know what I'm doing now, you know, like he's been living alone for a long time, I mean, for 10, 12 years.
Right.
And I've been living alone for a while now, and then I feel sometimes, you know, he's like a typical guy, like, you know, he likes to watch his sport, he likes to go to work, come back home, cook, you know, eat, and hang out with his friends sometimes, and we don't have any problems with any of these, but, you know, right now I'm not sure if he's quite comfortable with the idea of having another person living there, and, I mean, he says that he's ready, he wants to marry me and all of these things, and he'll, you know, ready, and he'll do whatever it takes, but, you know, sometimes in the heated moment I feel like maybe he's not ready, or, you know, I just don't know what to tell him when he tells me that he feels that he's losing control.
Well, the advanced conversation here would be, yes, honey, you are. And it's going to be great. I hope you do lose control. I'm losing control too. Let's go lose control together. You know? That would be the advanced conversation as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, you're going to lose control. What do you think this was? You get to stay single and be married to me at the same time? You got to choose, right?
Right.
Whether it's you or anybody else, he is going to lose control.
Right.
Okay? Control is a amateur conversation. It's an adolescent conversation, if you think about it.
Right.
In the beginning of our life, we're not in control of anything, right? Everybody else is in control. They're telling you what to do all the time, right?
Right.
Then you get to be a teenager, and nobody can tell you what to do. That's an adolescent, right?
Right.
And then you go around, nobody can tell me what to do, nobody can tell me what to do, nobody's the boss of me, I get to do what I want. But at some point in your life, you're supposed to grow out of that and become more cooperative with people, more like willing to relinquish some of that adolescent, I call it an adolescent will to power. There's no real power in it, it's just willing yourself to be powerful. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's very distinct from actual true power. Because when you step into your power, your true power, as a man and as a woman, you realize that you're not in control of anything. And that's okay, because you realize that you're so powerful that whatever comes up in life, you're going to deal with it appropriately because you have your own self-possession. You don't have to control things anymore because you are in control of yourself. It means that you've developed the ability to give up some things that you really want, which is a requirement for being married and being a father or a mother, right?
Yes.
You think being a father or a mother or you know, or a parent, you're definitely going to give up some stuff you want.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. You're willing to forego your immediate gratification for something bigger and maybe have that later. You know, you're able to restrain yourself and your immediate gratifications, which again is an adolescent trait. I want it now, you know? Mm-hmm. I want to watch my TV now. Well, I'm sorry, but it's time to eat dinner, so DVR it and we'll watch it later, you know?
Right. Yeah.
I want to watch the movies where they blow everything up, right? I'm sorry, we're watching a chick flick tonight and you can go watch that movie with your buddies, you know? That's part of the negotiating, it's part of the deal, right?
Right, right.
It's part of being married, and it's what is so great about marriage because it has people grow and develop. It pushes you outside your limits. But the reason it pushes you outside your limits is not because you have to, but because you love someone and you want them to be happy. That's a totally different reason than I have to and you can't make me, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what I would suggest to you as a woman, and if I was coaching him, I'd say something else. But if I was, because from a man's point of view, but from a woman's point of view, when you're negotiating, tell him how you feel. Tell him how it, you know, I would feel so much better. And I talk about this in the 12 stages, right?
Right. Yes, you do.
How women can talk with men to get what they want without, and the men would gladly give it, because a masculine man will want you to be happy. He'll want you to be, I mean, there's nothing better than a happy woman.
Right.
Especially if you're married to her.
Right.
Right. So you definitely want your wife to be happy. When the woman's not happy, nobody gets to be happy, right?
And he knows that. He knows that very well.
So his job is to make sure you're happy. And your job is to bring your happiness and your goodwill to the party, right?
Right.
To bring your loveliness and your beauty and your well-being. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm broken and I'm messed up and I'm unhappy, fix me. Please don't do that. That's a burden that no man deserves, you know.
Right.
Go to a coach or a therapist or workshops like the one you're going to go to. Don't worry, you're going to be, you take the women only workshop in New York, and you will leave there with the tools to become a lovable and adorable woman that men will love to be around and give you whatever you want, because it's just such a pleasure and an honor to be with you.
Oh.
That's what we promise women will get out of that workshop, by the way, and we've seen that delivered time and time again.
Great.
And so I think the true beneficiaries of that workshop are the men in your life, and not just your husband or boyfriend, but you know, your dad and the men that you run into on the street or wherever wherever you go, to be being that essence, that feminine essence as a woman that's not just flirty and cute and sweet, which we all adore, but that's smart and wise as well, and can be tough when she needs to be, but knows when to be soft, you know?
Right.
That's such a talent, and a woman like that is a treasure that any man would gladly, give up some control to, you know?
Yes. Right.
Yeah. So if he's in some kind of a control conversation, you know, you might want to find out if he's ready to be a husband and a father, or if he wants to stay being a kid. And it sounds like he's ready to make the move. He might just be hanging on to some things. When I married Azita, I told there were some things that she didn't like I don't know, some ways I dressed or behaved and stuff like that, and I could tell that she didn't like. And so I just asked her honestly. I said, look, beyond becoming somebody that I'm not, I'm willing to take a look at the things that work and don't work for you. And at one point she went into my closet and said, I hate this clothes and you look silly in that and I don't want you to wear, and I'm like, okay. And I said, but don't touch my cowboy boots. That's non-negotiable, right? And that Harley jacket over there, that's, keep your hands off of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there were a few things that were non-negotiable, but I'm willing to make some changes as long as I get to be me.
Right.
I don't have to control everything all the time, but that's a mature conversation. I'm mature enough to have that conversation. And so, I'm sure that he either is that mature or is wanting to be, if he wants to marry you. Because you sound like you kind of have it together.
He is.
Yeah.
He's actually mature in many respects. He's really mature. But again, sometimes I do feel that he's not sure. He sometimes thinks that maybe you're changing who I am or who I want to be, or these are just some of the things that he says when he's really aggravated. And we have some differences, like some religious point of views that are.
Are you from different religions?
Well, we are really not, but I am not a religious person.
And he is?
Or a spiritual person, and he is.
Okay.
He doesn't practice anything specifically, but yes, he is Muslim, and his family is Muslim. His family is a little bit more religious. My family is not religious at all. Mm-hmm. So these are some of the things, one of the things for me was I really don't like to advertise any religion in my house, putting up signs or, you can do whatever you want to do in your spare time, and, please don't expect me to participate because it's not something that gives me peace, but I know it does give him some peace, and I don't have any problems with that.
That's one of the really important things to negotiate, isn't it? Religion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how will we raise the kids? Will we raise them Muslim, or will we raise them to learn to meditate and, be spiritual in that way? So those are important points to negotiate and be enrollable. But if there's something that you're like, no, I'm not gonna wear a chador or do that kind of Muslim thing that I'm not gonna do that, then you need to be super clear about that. Like, you're never going to enroll me in this. No,
those we know, and he's not. He wouldn't want me to do anything that I don't want to do. He's just. One of the reasons that I want to marry him is he never, ever makes me do something that I don't want to do. He never do that.
That's great. The things that he does that he doesn't want to do, have him know how important it would make you feel, how much you would feel loved and cherished and taken care of and protected and provided for, and then let him choose. Don't say, and you have to do this. Just, I would feel so much better. I would feel loved. I would feel, however it was, tell him how you feel, in other words.
Right.
And then if you really want to, and this is not manipulation, it's just what works, then ask him, what do you think about that? Don't ask him how he feels. Say, this is how I feel about this. This is how I would feel. I would feel so much better if, those kinds of sentences. And then end with, so what are your thoughts about that? What do you think? And let him listen to his thinking. Men like to be respected for their thinking. If you ask us how we feel, it's like, I don't know. You know, I don't know. You know, who knows? We're not as in touch with our feelings, you know, unless we are. But for the most part, it's like, I don't know. Why don't you ask me what I think about it? I can talk about that all day. I can tell you what I think, you know?
I mean, even if it's something as big as, like, one of the things that we were talking about, which was my second issue, is just moving from New York. Because I do have some reasons that, you know, I really don't want to raise my children in New York. And I've been here for a while, and I really feel that I have experienced it. And it's just a little too much for me right now, just taking the weather and everything else. And I have most of my family and friends in California. And, you know, this is one of the things that we are talking about. And I keep on telling him some of my reasoning and the way I feel. But still, I feel that he's resistant to the idea. And, you know, I really don't know how to deal with that, because I don't want this to, you know, break our marriage.
Let me ask you let me gather some information for a second. Does he own a business in New York?
No, but he works in, he doesn't actually work, he's not in New York, he's in Connecticut, which is close.
He's in Connecticut, and you're in New York proper. You're in in New York State or Manhattan, or where's New York?
I'm close to Manhattan.
You're close to Manhattan, okay. And he's in Connecticut, so how does that work?
Well, you know, we usually see each other on the weekends and whenever we get a chance. And you know, the plan is for me, because I'm continuing my education. I'm going for my PhD, so the plan is for me to we're still talking, for me to move there, because I do have a job here, but I'm not restricted really.
To Connecticut? When you say move there, do you mean, when you say move there, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but when you say move there, do you mean move there to Connecticut or move there to California? What do you mean?
See, that's the thing. I'm right at the point where I have to decide, you know, to start applying to different schools for my PhD. And, you know, I'm applying to some school in California and some school in New York and some school in Connecticut until we actually come to a conclusion as to where we actually want to live for the next at least 4 or 5 years. So initially I was thinking, you know, that I could probably move to Connecticut where he works. But now, like, given everything, I really feel that first of all, I feel very much, moved away from all the cultural Iranian things. I feel that, you know, I'm needing it, and my family, I want to be closer to my family, and the weather is one of the big issues that I feel, you know, I'm very restricted in New York because it's always cold outside, and you really, you know, you don't get...
You know, family is something that's kind of non-negotiable. I want to love and be around my family and participate with my family. That might be in the area of, like, no, I got to have this. I got to be able to be with my family, even if that means I fly back there every 2 months or something, but that's part of my deal. Part of my deal is I get to be around my family as much as I feel I need to, but it may not be I have to move where my family is, because then my advice to you, dear lady, would be marry your husband, not your family. Because one of your choices that you make, you know, and one of the symbolic acts that families do when the father walks the daughter down the aisle and gives her to the husband is literally, I'm leaving the family to marry this man. So you will become a part of a household that will be yours to create your own family. And so I'm saying marry the man, marry your husband, and divorce your family. And divorce doesn't mean cut off, like I'm not with you anymore, but your alliance, your loyalty, your first priority must be your husband, or you won't make it. If your priority is your parents that are half a continent away, you're not ready to get married. You're still a little chickie in the household then. If you're really ready to be married, then marry the man you're going to marry and tell your family, I'll see you whenever I can, but this is my man here. And also the other thing that I would point out to you, thanks for bringing the richness of this conversation, really it's great. The other thing that I would like to point out is that while I encourage you No kidding. Please don't hear anything that I'm about to say as any kind of discouragement or disempowerment of you getting your PhD. I think you should absolutely get your PhD. However,
Right.
and you hear me talk about this, do you want to be the provider and protector in the family? Is there only going to be one?
No, I will work because I have to work, and I've studied a lot. I've been, I have a lot of degrees, and I really want to work and be a career woman. But I basically want to be a mother and a wife and a career woman, not a career woman who wants to be a mother and a wife. You know what I mean? That's not my priority. But, I would never feel accomplished, and I would never feel like really happy unless I have a good job.
I understand.
In the field that I'm really interested in.
Well, let me ask you this, though.
The person.
You kind of described it, and I want to just make sure that I heard you right. Do you want to be a married woman with a career, or do you want to be a career woman with a marriage?
No, I want to be a married woman with a career.
Okay. If you want to be a married woman with a career, listen carefully. You need to marry first and be married to the man you're married to, and your career comes second.
Definitely.
That's the choice that if that's your deal, okay, if that's who you are and that's who you say you are, you need to find a school in Connecticut so you can be married to the man you're married to, or else enroll him and register him in California. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm trying to do, yes.
Enrolled and registered. He has to be enrolled and registered, meaning he's got to sign a lease over here or a mortgage or something. You know what I mean?
Right, yes.
How you know you're registered is you've got it in your calendar and your checkbook, right? That's how you know you're registered. That's how I know when somebody's registered in one of my seminars or they've registered for an appointment with me, is it's in their calendar, there's a date and a time and a location, and it's in their checkbook. They gave me money, right? Yeah. So that's how you know you're registered. So you need to enroll him and register him in California if that's your deal, and that's what you want to make. That's the deal you want to make. And look, you may say all these things are negotiable. He may say, I can't do that for at least 2 years. Okay, I'll go to school here in Connecticut, or so that we can be together and start our marriage and start a life together. However, I don't want to have children until I get my PhD. You may say it like that, and I don't recommend that you do, by the way. If you're a PhD and raising a kid do not go together well as far as I'm concerned. Okay, one of them is going to suffer a lot, and a new marriage would be a third element, and that would suffer a lot as well. So, as you know from my 12 stages of romantic relationship, one of the stages is the first year, right?
Yes.
Moving in together is a stage in and of itself, and the first year. Those are extremely challenging times. It is an upset. When you move your stuff out of wherever it is you live now, your medicine cabinet and your drawers and where you park your car and you put your things and your dishes and stuff, and you take all of that and box it up and go put it somewhere else, that's upsetting.
Right.
It's an upset to you, right? It's an upset. Your nervous system experiences it as a complete breakdown in security. Okay, you'll begin to feel insecure around that, and if he's there and he's got his bachelor pad and everything's cool and he comes and goes as he pleases, and all of his stuff's where he wants it to be and nobody else's stuff is there, and all of a sudden you come in with all your stuff, that will be an upset, right? Or if he has to move out of his house so that you two can have a house together, that will be an upset. Do you understand? Now, it doesn't have to be a problem. It's just it upsets the norm, and our automatic way of being as a human being is to seek security and to eliminate threats. That's what we're programmed to do. Do you understand?
Yes.
So if you occur as a threat, or if he occurs as a threat to your security, do you see how that can cause problems in the first year?
Yes.
Like the person I just married is now an upset for me.
Yes.
Right? So whatever it is you decide to do, wherever it is you decide to live or go to school, you want to manage in advance. Isn't it easier to handle a problem before you have it? Yeah, like I can see that I might have a problem with this a month from now or 6 months from now or a year from now. I'm going to handle it right now at the negotiating table.
Yes.
So that when it comes up, we have an agreement about that. See, we made this deal. You said if I went to school in Connecticut and we lived together for a year or two while I worked on my PhD, that we would spend that year or two getting being together and getting, being more in love and creating the bonds of our relationship, and looking for real estate over in Los Angeles or wherever it is you're going, right?
Yes.
That's our deal, right? I don't want to put words in your mouth or ideas in your head. I'm just saying that's a possible negotiating point, you see?
Yes, it is.
Right. So he might say, okay, I'm willing to do that. Or, hey, you know what? With both of us working, we have enough money. We can keep an apartment here and over there, and we could be bi-coastal. You might find that's true. Or your parents may say, our house is so big, you don't need that. Just come stay with us. And he might go, no, I don't want to stay with your parents. I want my own place. So there's a lot of things to negotiate, you see?
Yes. Yes.
But you gotta start with the deal breakers, or because the whole thing could break down right then and there. Okay?
Right.
They start with the deal breakers first. If you ever do this, and my recommendation to you is keep it around 3 or 4 things, okay? If you start getting a big long list, you know that you're being too demanding and no man will ever, you're unmarriable basically. Okay? And if he's got a big long list, he's unmarriable. He's not willing to give up whatever it is that you need to give up in order to be married. You got to give stuff up, right? Right. So if you got a big long list, it's no good. And here's my recommendation to guide you in those lists, and that's also in the 12 stages, is if it's illegal, immoral, unethical, or dangerous to your health, then that's where you want to look for your deal breakers, okay? Yes. You ever do something illegal, immoral, unethical, or that's dangerous to you and me on an ongoing basis, like, whatever it is, having a meth lab in the basement, or, something like that, right? That's a deal breaker. You do that and I'm out of here, right? Right. So, because that would be illegal, I don't know about immoral, it would certainly be unethical and illegal and dangerous to your health. Right? Yeah. Part of this is just my sense of humor, but there's actually people who have these issues, and it's like I never knew he was into that, right? Yeah. Yeah. Right. So now you know. So get those things out front. Be enrollable. Negotiate the negotiables, and then if you get stuck, get a coach. I know a couple. Okay. Yes, I know too. Get a couple of coaches. Yeah, get a coach and get some coaching, okay? Yes. All right. Right. Did this help you? Yes, a lot, actually. It got me a lot more organized now. I feel much better also. So. Awesome. Yes. Thank you so much, as always, for helping me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, and I would definitely see you when you come here in New York. Absolutely. It'll be the 21st is our anniversary, and which is also the last day of the seminar. So we'll make it special somehow, I'm sure. I'm sure it will be. Let me just ask you one question. Mm-hmm. So it starts on a Friday night, right? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It starts Friday night, 7 o'clock. Oh, okay. That's good. I needed some information for some other people. All right. Yeah, Friday night at 7 o'clock. They usually go to about 10:30, 11 on the Friday night. It's mostly meet and greet, but it's some very important groundwork gets laid for the rest of the seminar. So it's kind of like getting you set up so that you can start the seminar full force on Saturday morning, and so it's this part that you can't miss. So Friday night, then all day Saturday and all day Sunday, and Sunday night ends at 8 o'clock. And perfect. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much for your help. Okay. Thanks. Thanks for calling, and I'll see you again. Okay. Sure. Thank you. Bye. All right. I think it's time to wrap this up. We've got a couple of minutes left in the show, so I won't be able to take any more calls. I want to thank you for joining me today on Love Talk, and please go to embracegrowth.com. I hope that you will find out more about us at embracegrowth.com, or you can always call our office and set up appointments for myself or my wife, Dr. Sion, and I will see you back here again next week. My name is Gregory Morgan, and you've been watching Love Talk.
یک مرد منحصر به فرد، مسلط، متمرکز، قابل اعتماد و رضایتمند باشید. کارگاه شرافت، عزت کلام و مهارت به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان. تورنتو 21 تا 23 سپتامبر، همبورگ 19 تا 21 اکتبر، ایروان ارمنستان 15 تا 17 آگوست. لس آنجلس 2 تا 4 نوامبر 310 460 2600.
The Embrace Growth app is finally here. You start by signing in just as you would online, and from there, you'll see all of your account settings. Once in the app, you'll have access to events and all of Embrace Growth's original content. Registering for workshops and seminars is easier than ever, and tools for managing your profile and options are built right in. Schedule private sessions and connect with the global Embrace Growth community. Download it today on the App Store.
در کارگاه‌های آموزشی بانوان به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان با دستیابی به اهمیت و ارزش واقعی خود، قدرت زنانگی و آرامش خود را بازیابید. ایروان ارمنستان 7 تا 9 فوریه، لس آنجلس 22 تا 24 فوریه، تورنتو 15 تا 17 مارچ و همبورگ 26 تا 28 آپریل. 310 460 2600.
Embrace Growth has a new home online where you can easily register for workshops and events, order from the online store, and be part of the worldwide community of Embrace Growth graduates. You'll be able to see Dr. Rosita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan in your favorite seminars. Visit us today at embracegrowth.com. Welcome to the Embrace Growth app. There's a new way to communicate and join in. Create your free account online and sign into the app. Manage your profile on the go and choose between English or Farsi. Register for events and schedule appointments more easily than ever. Stream audio, video, and download books all over Wi-Fi or cellular. Sign up for workshops and seminars right on your phone, and access your audio and video library in the palm of your hand. Take your favorite lessons from Dr. Rosita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan with you. Download it today on the App Store.
برنامه دنیای عشق با دکتر آزیتا سایان، برنامه‌ای که تمامی سوالهای شما را جواب می‌دهد. ازدواج، عشق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، فرزندان، والدین، خیانت. از یوتیوب لایو استریم، فیسبوک و اینستاگرام لایو. سه شنبه ها و پنج شنبه ها 10 شب به وقت ایران و 10:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس. تلفن تماس با استودیو 818 532 66 55.
Dr. Sayan's YouTube channel is the place to find quick, free, and timely answers to all of your relationship questions. If you like our content, click the like button on our videos and let us know what you think in the comment section below. Send us your questions through social media or by calling in during the show. Subscribe to get notifications about new videos and when we're streaming live. Join us during the week to watch our shows live. See the latest videos from Dr. Azita Sayan and your favorite clips of Doña Yeshk. Visit us at youtube.com/Dr. Azita Sayan.